Wassail, beautiful people. It's my birthday and I'm at Mayapan. It's interesting. You'll hear an ancient Mayan lawnmower perhaps in the background. I'm sitting here. I kind of feel like I need to just give you a little sort of tour of just turning the computer around. That's an area that's been protected because it has murals underneath, and I'm sitting in a tree. Oh, the mic's got caught. So this is where I'm sitting. Over there, that's under there, if you can see. That's possibly the observatory. They're just not sure. They do like a very steep step, it must be said. Oh, I just needed to grab that bag because I'm keeping that to keep the computer dry. And this is the really huge, tall temple, which I ain't climbing up because, as I said, they love a steep step. And I get a little bit of vertigo. By a little bit of vertigo, I mean I get a lot of vertigo. And I don't have a need to go up. I was better earlier. I'm not sure how I'll just have to keep leaning across. I can't move because I'm sitting on damp ground. I bought some nice new shoes that are made from sisal, which was a crop of the local area in the boom that created the spacermen. And they're a little bit grubby and grass stained already. I've only had them on 3 hours. It was my birthday present. I guess from all of you, thank you very much for your contributions. So, you can actually go and walk on the structures here. And that's a very beautiful thing. Oh, I got my little sisal hat as well, although that is making me a little bit warm, but we'll keep it on. It's nice in the shade. There's a very beautiful calm energy. You know, there's a distinct lack of tourists. I've learned a lot more today about how these areas have very much been reconstructed to sort of Victorian or 19th century archaeologists and 20th century archaeologists' notion of how they think it was. And later we're going to Mani, which is where that priest I told you about burned all the Mayan books, and so the knowledge was lost. So it's really lovely here. It's absolutely beautiful. I've been taking lots of pictures of different bits, and I've got a really lovely guide, Ralph, today, and he's driven us down here, and he knows so much. He's been living here 30 years. He's originally from Germany and Canada, but it's just so beautiful. I took my shoes off to go up the first temple and realised that there's something deeply uncomfortable about being barefoot on really rough stone. And then as I came down the steps with my vertigo, walking sideways, I was trying to keep so close to the tread of the steps that I kind of slightly pumice hacked my feet up at the back. It's like it was trying to draw blood. It didn't, but it felt like it did. So I have no questions. I'm just gonna ask the land, the space, to say what it wants to say. Just behind here there's the sacred cenote, and it's got a whole cave system that runs underneath, and it's absolutely fascinating. There were lots of lovely emerald limeish green lizards running around, and iguanas, and they're all over the buildings hanging on and things and sitting in the sun. But there were the biggest avocados growing from within that cenote where all this water is, from this mystical river that runs underneath, and you can't reach them, but I've never seen such well-fed, sacred avocado testicles. So, what would you like to tell us? What messages do you have to share with everyone from this really beautiful spot underneath the tree? So that's the other thing I want to talk to you about, leafshade. Around here there's obviously forests and groves on the very edges, and when you step from out of the sunshine, I mean, yeah, it's all grass, but once upon a time it was all paved with plaster. But when you go down to the shade, the leaf shade, it's like entering nature's air conditioning. I've not felt that cool for so long. Absolutely beautiful. So let's get some kind of message. So what would you like to say, or do you not want to say anything? Also here there are ants crawling over everything, but they look like ants I'm familiar with. All other ants I've seen so far are completely different. There's a lot of butterflies, there's a lot of energy of transformation swinging around behind me, I notice. But we're getting nothing, absolutely nothing. There we go, we've got a card. We have a card. Interesting. Heart of the sky. And then a leaf just hit me on the face while the noise of a fly buzzed around me. The heart of the sky, it's about what's behind the veil. There's, I kind of get the feeling in her face that she's kind of going, oh, a little bit like the spirits of this place are just kind of sighing. They're not unhappy, they're not angry, they're just kind of like, ah. And I wonder why. It's also interesting, I couldn't find my wallet this morning, and so I had to empty my bag in the car before we set off, and I don't know whether I've left them in the car or at the house. I've hardly brought any cards with me. We've now got Pachamama. 2440, which makes a 10 a completion and a new beginning. There's a kind of doleful mournfulness of the inevitability of a cycle change, but there's also there's a sense of our lack of appreciation for the reality of space. We're all making up stories. Archaeologists are making up stories. Everyone's creating what the Mayans mean to them, and there's something about it being a dreamscape behind a veil. It's what do you need the Mayan Empire to be for you? That's really interesting. What do we all need the Mayan Empire to represent for us? For many people, they need it as a scapegoat. They need it to be an energy of violence. For other people, it needs to be a deep spiritual existence. Luminous warrior. So the energy is all sacred spaces. It's about the sacredness of the land, the sacredness of the site itself, not the structures. Not the structures. We can marvel at these structures, but the structures are created to mark the majesty of place, to create recognition of the genius loci. That's a really interesting message. I'm going to keep going with these before I go to the Raw Runes, because that's all I've got. I've just got these. Odin and the Nine Realms and the Thoth tarot deck. They're not here with me. Well, they're not here with me right now. Maybe they're in the car and we can get them out in Mani when we go and see where they burn all the stuff. Right, now we're coming up to what's really hidden in the energy of the genius loci. You got to admit, that's a beautiful card. Magic. And then I have two cards over here, both face down. It's the Time Master. The magic of time removes the curse. Really interesting. Also, this is a very ancient energy that comes to me and talks about meeting with mirrored energies, meeting yourself, facing yourself, working through the energies of time to bring a new understanding of moving forwards, releasing yourself from old frequencies, flowing in with the magic that's somehow coming down through the cosmos. We've got 5, 5, 6, 6, 4 and 12. We've also got 3 and 3, master number of the world, on the magic card. We've kind of got the 369, but we've got this notion of it being the frequency, the code key to unlock the veil. To unlock the veil. It's like there's something behind the veil for each of us. Like a kind of a birthday present. It's my birthday, so maybe that's the whole point. There is a birthday gift, an azal, an original birthright that is hidden behind the veil for everyone. And yeah, it's not necessary to be in a sacred space or a space that's recognized as sacred. All space is sacred. All space can create place. All space can create the frequency to work on the magic of time to free the sacral. I'm just gonna, I have got the sound healing cards here. So let's just, there was the tiniest butterfly then I've ever seen in my life. It was about a centimetre, miniature. There's the most beautiful wind here. Look, my beard is blowing in the wind. That feels very Libra frequency. So the bottom of the deck is F sharp. Loving another. See, now that is tying in with this frequency that has always represented a divine coupling for me. F sharp, Venus, the higher heart. So that was on the bottom. What's on the top? F. What's the message of the space here? That two heart spaces, the tear in time is the tear that we go through to become physical, and it's about bringing the two heart energies together. I kind of feel like each of these is somehow one of these. It's about, but you see, I want, that's always sacral energy. But maybe it is this notion of, by bringing your by giving time to heal the sacral, you then have time to combine the heart of the sky. Oh, that's beautiful. So the heart of the sky is the galactic center of the universe through which our consciousness comes when we're born. And so this means that as we come into existence, it's as we come through the veil that our whole heart chakra is transformed, is split in two, and it's about working towards bringing those two sounds back together. So let's give those two energies space. Let's do F of the natural world. So there is something about the leaf shade, this idea of going and sitting in the air-conditioned beauty of, that was 1555 then as I glanced at the camera, which is 11 frequency, and we're talking about the heart, the pulse of the earth. So down in the shade over here, when you go into that leaf shade, the leaf shade, that energy of being comforted and calmed, and that gentle frequency pushing through, you are very much aware that you're also in a space that's to do with the plant world asking you to look within yourself, to look within the shadow of the leaf shade, to find the truth of your inner luminous warrior. So I've not got very much water, but I need a little sip right now. I've got loads in the car. I just only bought one because I don't want to be carrying so much. Everything weighs so much. So I want to just say to you, Milo Kim, which is Mayan Yucateco or something. It's called the Mayan that they speak in this region. It means good day, Milo Kim. So let's have the F and the F sharp. Let's do the natural world first. Crazy people. Milo Kim. He's actually climbed up a really difficult side to climb up. It's easier to climb up on the far side, the guide told me. So there was the F, the natural world. I want to say that that energy is buzzing really loudly below me. Really interesting. Really incredible frequency, really low down. I'm so glad they're climbing in the video. If I had a pen with me, which I don't, other than my name, I'd give them my address so that they could watch a video of themselves climbing, because it's really amazing that they have the desire and the bravery to do something I'm not doing. So F sharp now, higher heart. You see now, I don't need to sing that anymore, only to say that the natural world is the natural frequency of this space. The bringing of our heart of the sky consciousness into this space is the alien part of the process. That's really fascinating. So here we go. Oh, what a fabulous card. You just never know what's coming out. It's 29, so that's an 11 again. We're repeating that energy of the core of the earth, the secret energy frequency that the earth speaks, and it's Urðgrap. The people here were gripped by the frequency of the earth and its grave. Now, the word grave has never made more sense than ever before. It's an energy of to recycle. That which was once relevant and purposeful to the existence of the people here, they're showing me this as an energy of the opening the space to bring down life, to bring something down to the surface of the earth and then deep within the core of the earth, to work with the sacredness of space, the genius loci. But this this grave aspect is literally a grave to a former culture. You can look at it and you can be sad. You can look at it and you can marvel and be awful. What do you need the energy of this space to be? It's just a record book, an energetic recording of something that was. So now, as I'm sitting here, I'm beginning to peel back layers of time, and I'm beginning to sense the frequency. Here comes a butterfly, beautiful black and white butterfly. And I don't know what this tree is, but it has an energy on this tree of being a little bit like an elder tree. Well, I think it is an elder tree, but I don't know whether that's true or not. But that's to do with feminine energy, and that's what I was seeing here. It's also the energy of witchcraft. I'm seeing predominantly, I don't know why, I'm seeing females moving around this particular zone. I don't know why. But when we were at Chichen Itza, that was also, it contained this energy of warriors on the Temple of the Warriors, four-sided images, and each side has a different warrior. I've taken a photograph of some beautiful warriors' feet at the bottom of a broken column, because the columns are rubble-like now, but originally they were covered in stucco, and they had the images of the warriors on them. But in Chichen Itza, there were female warriors, you know. So the way in which people think about the gendering varies all over the different cultures of this area. Some had a thing that was the third sex, who were often so in touch with both sides of their sexuality that they were considered shamanic. Now, we don't even know if any of that's true, but here, right now, the visual is women walking around. I can't even sense what they're doing because they're not fully formed. They are just merely a record, a ghost of time. There's a sense of the wind of change pulling them in right now. I feel like I've got to bring the cards down here because I'm concerned they're going to blow and we're going to go running after them. So, there we go. Really beautiful cards. So we had Urðgrep 29. Now we've got Urð-Magian, the magician of the earth, the earth magian, not Itza, which is water sorcery. Here we're dealing with planting the seeds of earth magiry. And then we have Sunstida, solstice, community, marking of time. But that sense of the power here, the energy here, was a memory of the power of community to sustain life through the earth. Really, really beautiful energy, really beautiful energy. Really comforting energy, really wrapping people up in that sense of clothing. So let's ask about this earth magiry. I think I'm making that word up. Can you talk about the earth magery? What was it? That's that magic that was in the card earlier. It's the magic. Nothing else is talking about earth other than Pachamama. So there's something that's about the earth magic here was priestess energy somehow. I don't know. Let's ask. Can we talk about this earth magic? Can we have an explanation of this earth magic? Oh, I need to just get the right cards because we're just, the messaging is so beautiful. Thank you, Spirit. The hummingbird's back. The left-handed warrior. So what I'm picking up is something to do with the priestesses here nurtured the souls of dead warriors, both men and women. But there was an interesting thing just around the corner of this that looked like it was a frieze work, and it has a little hole in the top, and I joked and said it looks a little bit like when you go to the seaside and you have those images that you stick your head through. I said it's like you need to stick your head through and then suddenly, and the guide said actually when major rulers died, but maybe it's actually all warriors, they removed their heads and put them in this thing because it was a representation of the journey through the afterlife. So there's something about singing the souls back towards their reincarnation. So now let's see what happens, because that was really odd that I went, I'm not going to sing any more F sharp. Now I need to sing that F sharp. Now we know what the purpose of this pitch is. We can sing the F sharp and bring about that passageway through the underworld, through the water sorcery of the cenotes. There's something about the earth grip, the grave of the warriors, the grave of the warriors. I don't know why priestesses, but we don't question things. It's just an energy I'm picking up. It's almost like they were the nannies, the guides, the carers that looked after the warriors. There's something about that need that I have to see a hummingbird. There was a sense that until the hummingbird, it feels like there were sacrifices of sweet fruit nectars that were created here, and that because there's been heads with cups on, dips in them, at different they were like different sort of small altars, but maybe the altars were all for different kinds of people that died, to honor their body, to honor their soul. And you wait, what I'm being told is you wait until the hummingbird drinks from the thing, otherwise the head remains. It's only then that the completion of some kind of burial ritual takes place. Don't know, but that's a gorgeous idea. I like that. Thank you. So, actually, I really love that, because when you come here and you sit down, you don't know where any story's going. That's really beautiful. So, can you tell us about this earth mason? Oh, I was going to sing, sorry. I just wanted to... 44 sacrifices coming out to do with the fourth chakra, 4-4, the two heart chakras becoming one, returning what was separated. It doesn't return until the hummingbird, the reincarnated warrior of the left hand, comes back to drink of the syrup of nectars, the ambrosia, next to its own head. That's so beautiful. So let's have that F sharp now and see if it now vibrates in underneath me in the earth. Okay, so here we go. I did think then what would be really perfect would be if a hummingbird now descended, because I still haven't seen one. But there's a butterfly fluttering transformation in behind me above as shadows. So there is a sense. I need to change my position. I need to kneel up for this one. So, let's go back. My spirit guides are here. I've not seen any flies. The flies are on me now. They're happy with my work. So, let's go to that F sharp. They're playing me the vibration of hummingbird wings, a couple of 2, 3, 4, you know, like in much higher octaves above as I'm doing this sound. Weaving together the 2 heart chakras. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful when a message comes out with such clarity. Really, really, really gorgeous. Thank you, Spirit, for honouring us with this. As I said that, there's a fly on my shoulder, on my energy wings. So, the F sharp is much more present. Now it has definition through which to understand its intention as a frequency. It's very interesting because at Chichen Itza there was a deadness to everything. There's something very living still here, even though it is like a mausoleum to a lost moment. But there is that sense of, what does the frequency mean to you? This is a place that's begging for us to reconnect with the warriors of our heart, to reconnect with the energy of the luminous warrior. Oh, you look, please, beautiful things, the waterfall, all emotions, all memories, all life, all energy is ultimately soluble. It can be dissolved back into the cosmic ocean, the lagoon of the heart of the sky. It's a place that offers you the chance to reconnect with a greater aspect of world frequencies. There are so many flies. Hello, beautiful flies. Why have you been hiding? I've had to put up with wasps and ants in your absence. They've come back round because it's my birthday. Did you know that? So, let's go back to the sun's beginning to creep around that tree, so I might have to stop soon. It's beating quite heavily on my shoulders. Oh, it's a completion point. It's a completion point for me. It's a completion point for you watching this video, feeling the energy now. It's a completion point at which you can dissolve old histories, old energies, and begin to reweave your 2 heart energies back together. It's a chance for something new, and it comes with the rainbow. It's such beautiful energy. There's very much the energy here of the rainbow, and then coming out, the heart is new. The heart is new. It's the colour of my new shoes. It's sisal coloured. Sisal is the agave plant, and they take the fibres and they weave the fibres together, and then once the fibres are woven together, It's exported all over the world. It created riches for the area, and it's used to make rope. It is the yarn. So the heart is being rebound to take flight, to fly again, to give new heart and frequency. It's absolutely beautiful. Oh, hello, we've got a spider here now, sitting on the computer looking directly at me. Hello, little spider. It's coming towards me. Oh. Right, well, I don't like to upset spiders because they can be very nervous. Oh, it tried to jump up and catch a tiny little fly then, or aphid. So, what would you like to say at the very end, please? What's the last message for this little space here? What's the last message? I'm just going to bring more of the ground in. I should have done that before. Sorry about that, people. So they're saying to me that was about squaring up the picture, bringing things into perspective. You can only bring things into perspective when you have your heart and sacral flowing at the correct frequency. That's fabulous. So what's the last message, please, from the runes? What's the last message, please, from the runes, without them blowing halfway down the way? No, we're getting a really deep message coming from within the cards. It's ordering itself into space. What's the message? What's the message? What's the message? What's the message? There it is. You see, now this is really interesting. It's like talking about the journey. It's fair. This is the rune of enormous power. So we've been called by the water sorcery. We've experienced the priestesses who are the earth Mayan, and we're moving on next to the fire. I'm going to ask for one final Shamanic to go with that. Shamanic Oracle deck. I can feel the fire now, the sun on the back of my body. It's all about the fire. Every time I say fire, a fly flies right close to my ears. We're looking for each of the elements to create the mystical shaman. So it's interesting, there's no breeze now, so we're moving to air last. We're going water, connect to the water underneath the earth, and we're going to bring that into the light, into the fire next, and it's all part of a jigsaw to create the mystical shaman. Let's see what's on the bottom of the deck for the next part of the journey. Egilshamir, the helm of awe. This is a protected journey we're all on. It's a beautiful journey. There's a navigation to it that we can't understand. What's on the bottom of the sound healing? Pluto. Pluto is about to come out of retrograde in 5 days' time, and that's death and rebirth frequency. We're rebirthing frequencies, and oh, my little spider's on the cards. Can you see? I'm not sure you can. Oh, I think it's jumped off. So what's on? Oh no, it's on my hand, look. It really wanted to be in this. So, I think you really should go back down on the ground because I really don't want to hurt you. There it goes. It jumps. It's a jumping spider. It's Pluto energy again on the bottom. So, it's all about Pluto. So, death and rebirth. We are moving towards Scorpio season, but it isn't about Scorpio season. It really is at the moment. It's about going prograde, turning around, changing your perspective to gather the pieces together to have your own recreation of a mystical shaman energy. So this is called the cylinder house, and then this is all the spaces around. Look, these areas I'm picking up have got something to do with sacred, not sacrificial, sacred spaces. This one's called here, this is the oratorio, a space for speaking. So it used to have a straw roof on the top of the columns, like the thatch over here in the blue and the thatch at the top of that mound that I was in earlier. This is the rest of the space, and there's lots of little hints as to there being altars. And in that reading I just did, I got that sense of this wonderful sculpture that's over the side here of the edge of the temple. This is just by the cenote as well, but look, there's just structures all around here, spaces. So at the side of there, just by the cenote that is open here, with the avocado trees, with the hugest, most pendulous avocados you've ever seen. There's a wall here, and that's the wall I was talking about when I said that they put the head on display. But there's something, I'm getting the feeling of this whole space being wrapped up in reincarnation somehow. And this circular building is not astrological or astronomical. It's a space, and up it just runs in together, and below there's a series of what appear like fireplaces or altars, but they don't have soot. But there's something in this space that's talking about smoke. Maybe it was a space. There's doors, and opposite the doors, or just to the side of the doors, are the fires. I get the feeling of this place being filled with smoke. Now, whether that was to smoke products, because there's the only bit here that kind of looks a bit sooty. I just wonder whether it's all been cleaned up. It's very difficult to tell. But there's something about maybe either smoking foods or sacred creatures that may have been consumed later, or smoking to cleanse the bodies of the dead before they await the sign of the hummingbird to turn up and drink next to the altar that you've created. Sensing now Day of the Dead and the way in which they have the marigold. Maybe it was a marigold nectar. I don't know. Anyway, gonna do another reading for you. So I'm in the town of Mani, and this is a saber tree, and the saber tree is the Mayan world tree, and this one has these beautiful hanging lights made from bound twigs. And then over there you see the church, and it's outside the church just in front over here, and that's where all of the Mayan books were burned. Really interesting. Let's go over and have a look. So this is the square. It's interesting over here, lots of the houses have stones taken from Mayan temples, and this is the church of St. Michael the Archangel, and the space over this side, the second archway, not the main door of the body of the church, that had a building that came out in this direction, and that was known as the Chapel of the Indians. They weren't allowed in the main church with the rest of the Spanish, and it's here on this green that all the books were burnt. So let's do a reading here and see what we get. So I'm seated under another sabre tree. There's a legend of a spirit that lives in a sabre tree, and she will give you water, a thimble of water that will make you no longer thirst. Water sorcery. But you have to give her a child in return to never thirst again. I want to say there's an energy of tripping up here, being tripped, being beaten. I walked into the loo, went to go up to the urinal, and I just cracked my head because they had a weird bar across that's set at, you know, Mayan size, I guess. It bloody hurt. If I'd have had my hat on, it would have protected me. But I'm a bit rubbish at remembering to wear hats. And I am sitting in the shade of a tree here. I just hope you can see the cards. I feel very much like there's a very strong dark presence. I do want to say that it's a dark energy here. I've found the cards in the bottom of the car. I feel like I can't look up at you. That's the energy that shame. The energy of shame. Knowing something is wrong and yet never correcting it. It's a very beautiful town. The energy of the town's very lovely. The people are very, very friendly. There's the most wonderful colours here. But this spot behind me, this space covered in grass, where all of the Mayan history that they'd ever written and drawn, look, it would be like taking all the beautiful Celtic manuscripts, taking the entire Vatican Library, bringing it out here and just burning everything, because you decided that that's no longer serving a purpose within society, and it's best to dissolve, destroy, remove all memory if you want to like disenfranchise an entire people. So I've got an Odin and the Nine Realms, and I've got the Tarot. Let's see what we get here. The top of my head is hurting. Not from the sun, but from spirit giving me a right rap on the head with its presence. A painful rap on the head. Oof. I feel like this is all the disenfranchised. None of them are looking. All of them have their eyes shut. I've never noticed that before. And Geffen is coming across as the spirit of the sabre tree. Really, really interesting energy. They're drawing me to the dismantling of the rocks, the setting of old histories, the setting of a sacred history, the tearing down, the building, the placement of the rocks in the pavements. Because to the people who were taking over, look, I don't want to say that all the Spanish are bad. We're talking about an instant in history here. Many Mayans died. Something like 90% of the Mayans in the Yucatan Peninsula died from smallpox and other illnesses brought by the Europeans. What we're talking about here is the erasing of a culture. Oh, interesting. They've made me pull all of these cards upside down. Not sure you can see them, but maybe you can. First out, upside down from the truth, was the suppression of light. The Baldur. And Baldur is your inner truth. your inner truth. And then it had Asgard and Thor's, the thorny bad energy, being made to believe that your entire cultural history, is wrong in the eyes of the new God, the new religion, the new truth. Really strong energy of being perpetually condemned. So, covered in ants again. This time they're not seeming to bite me. I want to just say that the energy here, aside from behind me, is so pleasant. It's like in this space, look, you'll notice behind at the cathedral, all up on this sort of top bit and all the way down, it's covered in black mould. You know, the chapel of the Indians, the segregation caused by that separate space. You know, your religion's completely wrong. You must, and they tortured, remember, they tortured the indigenous people here. They hung them by their hands, they put weights on their ankles, and they tortured them to confess their false gods. Look, he believed he'd converted them, and yet secretly they were still worshipping their false idols, as he saw it. And that energy is like a mould, and yet at the same time you were being tortured to confess, to become part of a new religion for this region, but you weren't fully allowed in. It's like a form of enslavement, subjugation. We need you to follow our religion in order for us to enslave you as workers, and we will remove your false idols. It's easy to say that they were false idols, but they were their idols, just like saints. I mean, to me, saints are false idols. You know, if you're going to have a God, it's God. It's meant to be just one aspect of God. That's the whole point of what Moses brought down. And yet we venerate all these saints who are nothing but false idols. So, we have the Five of Swords and the Two of Cups. It was defeating the energy of the truth of not love. It's not as simple as love, but of connection to source. I mean, ultimately love, source is love, but this is about bringing in, defeating the purity of their souls by stealing their truth. By stealing their truth. So I'm going to call out them. I need to bring out this deck because it brings, to me, it's bringing in the truth of something else. So, what are the feelings? What do the indigenous people feel? What's the energy here now in this space? Because all around there's the most beautiful, oh, I do want to say kind of like heavenly light. So we have the card of child, and it's just the energy of a very patronizing way. It's as if to say these people were just seen as children. They were almost seen as soulless. We've got the rattle again. There's something about the rattle is the shamanic symbol, and yet there's something about it that they're showing me as an idea of babyish. There was a natural part of the frequency 7-7 where it's 7-7-7 and a mirror. Interesting. They were made to look at themselves differently. They were shown 4-3-3-4 and 7. They were made to see themselves as children somehow. This is awful. Like, you can't grow up. So I'm getting this energy of you can't grow up if you keep looking at your cartoon books, is what they're saying. That's awful. It's so patronizing. Okay. It goes on still today. Look, it really does. I don't watch telly, but I was told today by Ralph that if you watch the television in the mornings, breakfast TV, you know, the Spanish people of Spanish origin are the actors who play the heroic characters every morning, and then they belittle, they make all of the sort of buffoon characters out to be indigenous. So there's still this message going out to this day that indigenous energies are childish. It's really, really weird. It's really hurtful that it's still playing on. So let's see what we can move with that energy. What can we say about this frequency? What can we say about this frequency? What should be done? What happens? Oof. Look, this is Itza, water sorcery, thundering in. There's a change of emotions coming, but it's profound. I need a bit more on that. I feel like something's coming in to change the emotional language. False emperors. He was a false emperor. It's almost like the energy needs to be acknowledged more. We need to talk about these things to resolve them. And I'm getting this, look, the whole deck is being held upside down. Like the mirror, the original energy of their frequency, the old energy as Diego saw them. And bear in mind, this guy set up an illegal inquisition to torture them. He was then sent back to Europe to be tried for an illegal inquisition, and then he was sent back here to be the bishop of the whole area. This false emperor, I mean, there's nothing worse than knowing you did something wrong. I get the energy sense earlier. We passed a weird frequency, a cross covered in dolls' heads and mannequins. And that's that thing again, the heads, the altar of the heads. There's no rebirth in Christianity. That's what they're saying. I just get the sense that this guy was a bit of a perv, if I'm honest. That's the energy I get of him. I asked earlier if he celebrated him, and there is a statue to him somewhere. Look, we've got Mars in Scorpio. Mars is a ruler of Scorpio. But there's disappointment in this card. There's the energy of the elder again. There's the energy of... There's no sense in this card of Leafshade. There's no sense of the protection of source. There's just an empty emotional body. I'm being shown 7 chakras, but only 5 up to the point of communication. It's like being denied third eye and crown through the Emperor of False Emotions. And we have the Chariot, yet again a 7. This is stuck. Retuning. Something needs retuning. Let's look at what we get if we dig into the let's see what we get if we dig into these. Sound healing cards. What's the tuning here? What's the split in time? Saves 9. What's going on here? So strange. You see, this was a missing piece in the second reading before, and at the base we're back to that same frequency. The hearts were split. It's almost, look, the hearts were split on birth. That's one of the things that we're acknowledging, or I am. But this is about how you can't bring together. You're only ever going to get disappointment when you follow a religion that doesn't offer your culture its true acceptance. That's interesting. So we're back on the F and the F sharp. I'm being covered in ants. They're all over everything. So what else can you tell me about the books? The books that were burnt here, what's happened? What are the books? Why the books? Why were the books burnt? Why were the books burnt? It's a false promise. The idea was to recreate a new dawn, to bring about this epic new development in the story of Catholicism in the Americas. Look, I'm not trying to pick on Catholicism. I nearly said communism. I'm just merely telling you a story relating to this guy Diego, Bishop of Yucatan eventually. He was offering, it's so interesting, he was offering them a life forever in heaven. And there's something about a broken promise where he would say to them, you don't need to be reincarnated. You don't need to have that energy and keep coming back and suffering the same pains. In our religion, it's almost Virgin Mary territory with her blue skirt. You will have life eternal. You will have life eternal, and that felt good, but it was a false promise. And it was a binding promise. It wrapped them up as possessions. They were bison. They were the workhorse. So yes, that's what it's about. You need the workhorse. You need to enslave the indigenous people to work for you, to do your bidding, to make you feel better than them. But you have to offer them a false hope. You have to offer them a life eternal to subjugate them, to break them, to keep them down. And it really is that energy, and it still goes on today. What can we say? What can we say here at the end? What can we say here at the end? What can we say here at the end? 2 cards. Look, it's a tower moment of fire. There's something, the walls, the foundations of the lies will be broken, will be burnt away, will be scorched. And then we have the Prince of Wands. And he's very much, this is all fire energy, this is burnishing. This is somehow, you know, I do get that sense there's something very Aztec-y Mayan about him as he sits there. He's got fires of water. Fires of water. I mean, like magma. There's a belching of the earth to change the frequency. So, I'm going to just ask. What's changing? What's changing? What's changing? What's changing? What's changing? That's so interesting. What's changing? Spiritual love is changing. So we had earlier, we had the card of disappointment in love, spiritual source love, and now it's like it's coming back. It's coming back like thunder, Thor energy rolling in, water emotions rolling in, water itself rolling in. So a last message from the indigenous energies, please. Right, this is interesting. This is the lower world, but they're showing me it as the cenotes. They're showing me it as the purified magical waters that run deep underneath the earth. The mystical river that is the water table. The lower world. The lower world what? The lower world what, please? The lower world what, please? Witness the lower world. Witness everything that's coming anew. There's the eye of Horus that comes over the shoulder, bringing in a new energy from the past, an energy from the past. But there's something about this. Witness the splendor of the power of the fire water, is what I'm hearing. Witness the splendor of the fire of the power water. And what does that mean? What does that mean to this space here? What does that mean to this space here? What does that mean to this space here? It's like wind healing is plugging into the energy of the earth. The wind element of this, remember, was the missing element earlier. And its wind will plug into the earth, and that will grow the new sabre, the new world tree, for the people of this land, for the people of this space. I'm going to have to ask another question because it's in my head. What does the genius loci of this space feel about what took place? What does the spirit of this space feel about what took place? You see, because it's there again, the hummingbird, the warriors of the heart. The warriors of the heart are here in this space. This space is changing. All energies are changing. There's something new coming in. Hummingbird frequency. Anyway, that's the reading from here. Sorry it's a bit dark. But I felt very strongly I had to come here and see the place where a race was obliterated. The history of a culture was destroyed, went up in the flames, it went up in the flames. Now the fires, the water fires, are coming to reclaim. Things from the past are being returned. Look, it could be that I'm getting that sense of like some old Mayan scriptures, explanations are going to resurface. Something's coming back that was thought to be lost, is what I'm picking up at the end. So anyway, Wassail, I've had a beautiful birthday with you all. Thank you so much. It was really lovely sharing today with you. Bye.